What's up, everybody? It's Ashley Lagos, Creative Director and Associate Pastor here at XII Church. Today, we are sharing the Word with you through pictures and videos that I took on a recent trip to visit friends in New York City. Turns out, New York is loud, so preaching on the street makes editing sound really difficult. But the scenery is dope and the spiritual lessons available to be learned in that environment are valuable, so sit back, enjoy the pictures, and soak up the Word. If you've ever been to New York, one of the things you may notice is the cultural diversity. As you walk around the city and hop on a subway to different boroughs, you hear different music, you smell the scent of amazing food floating through the air, and the languages. I sat on a street corner eating a sandwich and I counted at least 6 different languages being spoken by those who strolled past. And as an avid traveler of the world, that's like soul-filling for me. I love that. Being in New York got me thinking about how all of these different people groups came to be in this one place on earth, which got me thinking about immigration and why so many people leave their homes to start a new life. Sadly, one of the 3 main reasons people immigrate to the U.S., both historically and today, is religious persecution. The very foundation of America was built by people who wanted to worship God the way they wanted to, and so the United States of America was born. The First Amendment in the U.S. Constitution reads, "Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof." That is the very first thing promised to people in America, the freedom to worship however they want to. We're very fortunate to live in a country that allows us freedom of religion, and I am so thankful for that freedom. That being said, I think living here has given many Americans, myself included, a very misunderstood idea of what persecution is. We are studying the Beatitudes in this series right now, and in Matthew 5:10 it says, "Blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven." So what does persecuted for righteousness mean? Like, really? Does it mean people saying mean things to you over differences of opinion in Christian theology on a Facebook post? Or does it mean being poked fun at because you don't get drunk on the weekends? Or is persecution not believing in same-sex marriage and the government protecting the rights of all its citizens, and it upsets your religious sensibilities? I know that one stings a little bit, but is that really persecution? I can assure you none of those things are religious persecution. The men, women, and children who fled and currently flee where they are from in hopes of a safe space to worship however they want didn't pack up their lives and leave everything they knew behind because someone hurt their feelings. They did it because if they didn't do it, their homes would have been destroyed. They did it because their family members would have been tortured and killed. They did it to literally stay alive. That kind of religious persecution isn't a thing of a past either. Right now, there are Christians all over the world being killed for their faith. In Afghanistan, Christians are being jailed by the Taliban. The underground church in China has members rounded up on a daily basis and murdered, and Christians in Pakistan are often denied access to things they need in order to cook something as simple as unleavened bread, which is like water and flour, maybe a little salt. And yet, despite all that, the Christians in those countries report people coming to Christ at record numbers. Can you imagine willingly and joyfully risking everything for your faith in the face of real persecution? I was watching this interview on a Christian network, and there was a minister in North Korea whose name and face were not shown. He was asked how his congregation could possibly remain so full of hope under such extreme spiritual duress. You want to know what he said? He said, "We pray blessings on those who want us dead, and we forgive them even when they are not repentant." Wow. When I heard that, I just got chills all over my body because the truth of the matter is, I don't know if I could do that. Blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness. If praying blessings over people who are trying to kill you and forgiving them isn't righteousness, I do not know what it is. It turns out forgiveness is the key to enduring persecution. Without forgiveness, the burden may become unbearable. So let's talk about that a little bit. The feeling of unforgiveness and the need for fairness carry with them increasingly heavy burdens. The Bible teaches us that unforgiveness and seeking fairness are weights we were never intended to bear. Jesus completely turned our system of fairness on its head. In Luke 6:27-31, he said, "But I say to you who hear, love your enemies, do good to those who hate you, bless those who curse you, pray for those who abuse you. To one who strikes you on the cheek, offer the other. And from one who takes away your cloak, do not withhold your tunic either. Give to everyone who begs from you, and from one who takes away your goods, do not demand them back. And as you wish that others would do to you, do so to them. The way of God is grace-filled, unconditional love, not fighting for what you feel is owed. Jesus himself did not count equality with God a thing to be grasped, but emptied himself by taking the form of a servant, being born in the likeness of men, and being found in human form. He humbled himself by becoming obedient to the point of death, even on the cross. That's in Philippians 2:5-8. Jesus chose to never reciprocate the persecution and cursing he faced. Instead, he lived his life in pursuit of blessing everyone with grace and mercy so they might know the depth of God's love. And he has called you and me to do the exact same thing. Romans 12:14 said, "Bless those who persecute you. Bless and do not curse them." This is a thing. Whenever people persecute you, whether it's in small ways like most Americans experience, or whether it's in really deep, heavy ways, the way Christians all over the world experience, we have to rest in the knowledge that God is going to fight for justice on our behalf. So blessing them really is taking the weight that being persecuted carries and laying it at the feet of the cross. Blessing them is basically saying that there is no way that in my own strength I can face this. And if I also harbor hate toward the person that's giving me a hard time, I'm just going to compound the problem that I'm facing. You see, God is our protector and our defender. When we leave those heavy needs to retaliate and to hate and to curse at the foot of the cross and come to follow Christ, it actually makes walking out our faith so much easier. The only path to experiencing the fullness of abundant life is choosing to bless our enemies instead of fighting with them. And man, that can be so difficult. But you see, God's path to peace and joy is founded on the concept of grace. When you choose to bless others, even if they don't deserve it, you're choosing to live your life in light of eternity. You have been forgiven and offered grace not because you deserved it, but by mercy and the love of God. So we need to follow the example and the teachings of Jesus, and we need to live our life in obedience to his word. And that word says that if we bless our enemies and bless those who persecute us, that the kingdom of heaven will be ours. And not just the kingdom that comes with death, but also the kingdom that is here on earth now. That sense of camaraderie and brotherhood. And lastly, what I want to remind us is there are Christians all over the world that need us to cover them in prayer, that need us to stay vigilant in the amount of time that we dedicate to just lifting them up spiritually. Because the truth is, guys, that regardless of how much more difficult we think things are becoming for us in the United States, from just a law perspective and a, ideological perspective and the mean things people say to us, we have it so easy here compared to the rest of the world. And we need to shift our focus from the things that we think is hard and start covering people who are facing things that are actually hard. God bless you.